a simple, sustainable fat loss framework for real people in the real world. Welcome to Minimal Health.
Hey guys, welcome to Minimal Health Podcast. I'm Trey Cooper, and I'm here today with John Schaefer, my co-founder here at Minimal Health. And I'm here to ask him all of the questions you've ever wanted to ask a world-class personal trainer, but have never had the opportunity to do so. John, how you doing today, bud?
Good, Trey. Excited to jump in. I know you got some good questions planned, so let's dive in.
John, I'm definitely super excited to have you here, man. I know your schedule is wild busy, so I really appreciate you being here with us, man. So I'm just going to dive right in and kick it off. So obviously I found you a year ago, man. And I think the biggest piece, the hardest part for me was how to get started. Like, I'm 31 years old. I used to be in shape, right? In my 20s, because my metabolism was rampant, but I gained 30 pounds, man. Like, I worked behind a desk all day. COVID hit. I was behind a desk even more than I was used to. And getting started for me was definitely the toughest part. In your opinion, what is the easiest way for somebody who's 30, 40, 50, sitting behind a desk all day? How do you get started? I mean, how do you dive in?
Yeah, so a couple ways to answer that question. The first is that's the hardest part. Like, getting started is the hardest part, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. And they think the entire journey, the entire process is going to be as difficult as getting started. And the truth is, it's not. And so there's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel for people, I think, when they understand that just stepping through that door, just raising your hand and saying, man, I need some help. I got to get this figured out. I don't know where to start. Once you're able to do that, then the journey can actually begin, and understand that you are not alone, right? Like, we've all gone through this. This has been a crazy past year and a half. A lot of things have changed. And even before then, though, most of us didn't have it figured out. And so the way we start with clients, the way I've started with clients for the past 23 years, and certainly through everything we do at Minimal, is really laughably small. And what I mean by that is we set the bar really low, because the problem with getting started with training and dropping body fat or adding muscle or all the above is that it seems like a mountain. And in fact, many times it is. And so there are going to be a lot of things you're going to have to layer on to get to that ultimate goal, but you don't need to do all that right now. Right now, you just need to get started. And so what we do for, say, the first week is adding another 500 steps a day, which takes all of about 3 or 4 minutes, drinking an extra 2 glasses of water, or just downloading an app like MyFitnessPal to start tracking your calories. And the reason we do that is because those 3 things are not going to get you totally where you want to go. It's a part of it. But with the first week of just laying those few things out, we know you're going to be able to do those things. And a big part of this whole ordeal is rebuilding trust with yourself, with your subconscious, actually believing that it's going to happen this time. And so if you get small little victories at the beginning, totally manageable things that everybody can do, at the end of the week, you look back and say, I did it. I tracked calories for 7 days. I got those extra steps in, and I drank a couple glasses of water. What's next? So you have that confidence, and you say, okay, now I can start layering them on. Of course, if you're a little further along than that, then you can add more. But that's typically where we start people, just to build up some confidence and some trust. Rebuild that, gets you flowing. If you can throw in a body weight workout and things like that, great. But that's where you start.
So I don't need to because obviously when I found you a year ago, I'm thinking in my head, dude, I got to dive in. I got to work out 5 days a week. I need to eat 7 meals a day. Like, it's the only way to get in shape. It's impossible any other way. I have to do all this stuff up front. You're saying none of that's necessary.
No, in fact, I not discourage, because obviously if we got some people that join and they're ready to dive into 2-3 workouts a week, and hey, that's great. But most of us are not there. And in fact, most of our audience is not there. And that's where we really step in. Most of marketing in general in the fitness space is to like the 1% of people that are no days off and want intensity and want to go all out. And, they're all, that's not us, right? We believe that life is first and fitness is second. And so most of us are not doing those things. And so that is, I think, right there, what you said, what the assumption that it's going to take to get this thing moving. That is, I think, what turns 90% of the way from 90% of the people away from ever getting started. And that's unfortunate. And that is our main message, especially for those just getting started. You don't need to do all that, nor should you try to go from 0 to, I'm going to work out 6 days this week, and I'm going to count calories, and I'm going to create a big deficit, and no more beer, and so on and so forth. It just becomes something that is not sustainable for any. I've been doing this forever. I couldn't do that. And 2, just not necessary. It's just not necessary. And you don't want to, that's changing everything about yourself, right? That's changing everything all at once. And that will never, ever, ever stick. It's really fitting a program to you, not you to it.
Yeah, so I definitely am not about to give up beer or
Right.
it's just never going to happen, right? So, and you've definitely helped me find a way to include those things in my life. So, and I'm going to take a step back and talk about one of the things you just said as far as getting started and what's super important. Walking, dude. Up until seriously, like probably a month or two ago, I didn't really buy into the walking the 10,000 steps a day thing. That was a game changer for me. Like my whole mindset's totally different every day now. I wake up and I have to wake up earlier. And so I have a follow-up question here after this commentary, my tangent, but
Sure.
I wake up a little earlier to knock that out. So I wake up an hour earlier every day to go get an hour of walking in. Then I'll walk 30 minutes at night with my dogs, hour and a half, 10,000, right? Just about. But in your opinion, a lot of people look at it and they go, hey dude, 10,000 steps is a lot. And it is. Like an hour and a half a day of walking is a lot of walking. It's 5 miles basically. So what's your advice on somebody stepping into that and trying to get to that benchmark?
Yeah. So first of all, again, with layers, when I talk about how we get people started with an extra 500 steps a day, that's what you do. Same thing with, drinking more water. It's if you're at 3 cups of water a day right now, I want you to get to 5. If you're at 2,000 steps a day, I want you to get to 4. It's just little by little by little. But the 10,000 steps a day, it doesn't need to be all at once. And I don't think most people realize how many steps a day they're already taking, just moving about the house and things like that. So we're just looking for that little bit of extra. And walking is, like some of the great thinkers of all time. One of the most recent cases is like Steve Jobs, who used to take all his super important meetings walking. It's really, really good for the brain. It's great for recovery, blood flow, helps reduce soreness. But it's just I would say it's the sneakiest form of fat loss. If you take 10,000 steps a day over the course of 100 days, which, occasionally it'll take a little bit of effort, like walking the dogs for half an hour and things like that. But if you do that for 100 days, that's 1,000,000 steps. It takes a lot of energy to walk 1,000,000 steps, and you don't even realize it's happening. You can take phone calls, you can jump on podcasts. Maybe you're listening to this one right now. That type of thing. Time passes really, really quickly. We all have phone calls to catch up on. We all have things we want to listen to, new music, whatever it is, whatever puts your head in a good space. And so you work up small, you work up slowly. I would highly recommend for those that can afford it or those that have access to it, and most of our phones do this nowadays, although I don't like carrying the phone around all day long, is get one of these watches, whether it be an iWatch or, this is a Garmin, I think it was $200, probably the best gift my wife has ever gotten me. It gamifies things. Our brains are really, they want the reward, right? And so when you're building up streaks on your devices, on your watches or whatever, it gamifies things. It makes it fun. So I'm at like 270 something days of 10,000 steps. I'm not breaking that. I had a newborn baby like 14 days ago, and I didn't break it. I'm not going to break it now. So yeah, exactly. Just kind of walking around, but you'd be surprised at how quickly you can rack up steps. And again, 10,000 is a completely arbitrary number. There was I forget where it came from, but anyways, it's not the number that matters. It's the thinking around it. It's the more steps you can get every single day, the more calories you're going to burn over time. And again, it's recuperative. It's not like jogging or you got to go do sprint intervals or things like that. There's a place for sprint intervals. I'm not a huge fan of jogging. But there's a place for all that. But walking anybody can do for the most part. And it's just a really, really, really great add-in for so many reasons for everything that we're doing here.
So, and I would go so far as to say walking is probably the most important aspect of all this. And the reason I say everybody knows nutrition, everybody knows strength training, right? But walking really is that sneaky underlying factor. It's a game changer. It really, and shameless plug, I love your shameless plug, right? Well, listen to Minimal Health Podcast while you do it and you'll get your mindset right.
Yeah. that's what I do. It's what I don't listen to our podcast because we're recording, but like it's whatever puts your mind in a good space. Take that time to learn, take that time to feel better, improve your life, or catch up, phone calls with loved ones, that type of thing. So lots you can do with it. Time passes quickly. You're going to be sore if you're properly strength training, with us 2-3 times a week. So it'll help with that as well. And again, just makes fat loss so much easier. Even if it's an extra 200-300 calories burned a day, that just makes creating that calorie deficit through nutrition a lot easier.
Way easier. So, and speaking of nutrition, and that's definitely the next topic that I want to tackle. So when I came to you, right? So when I was in my early 20s and I'm doing the bodybuilder thing and I'm trying to be awesome, I'm eating dude, I was eating 7, 8 meals a day. I mean, I was eating nonstop, and it was chicken and broccoli and brown rice. I didn't eat salt because I didn't want water retention in my muscles. Like I was watching my sodium intake. Well, what's your take on that, right? Because we see comments on some of our posts and people come at us, and there's obviously mixed feelings on the intermittent fasting thing, despite the research, but you don't need to eat 8 meals a day, right? That's not necessary.
No, it's ridiculous. So there's a lot, everything that I learn and teach and preach about in anything regarding nutrition or intermittent fasting or training or so on and so forth. The way I work is I read incessantly all the time. I apply to myself. I test with myself. Then I start spreading it to my clients here in LA. If all those check boxes get hit, I start spreading it online. And I didn't create intermittent fasting, right? This has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. It's how our species evolved. I mean, the earliest agricultural revolution with food on demand was about 13,000 years ago. And it takes tens of thousands of years for our DNA sequencing to change. So we weren't eating small meals throughout the day. You know, we were hunting and gathering and typically saved it for when we needed it. Big meals came very infrequently, and we survived and thrived to get to where we are today. The idea of breakfast is the most important meal of the day is about 100 years old. It's marketing, clever marketing play, but you don't need breakfast. And I've gotten into shape in the past by eating 6 times a day. The problem, say there was nothing going on behind the scenes. You know, we have doctors now, some of the most notable doctors on the planet using it to treat diabetes, you know, talking about life extension benefits, so on and so forth. Let's say none of that stuff even existed. It's simply a framework to make creating a calorie deficit easier. And your body adapts really, really quickly to skipping breakfast or skipping dinner or going more longer periods without food. Your body adapts to it really quickly. So energy actually gets really even. Strength goes up through like human growth hormone elevated levels in the body. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens, but just from a framework perspective, if you're skipping breakfast, you know, okay, I'm really going to focus on nailing lunch. So lunch, we give, you know, several options, typically like a vegetable, high protein, moderate fat meal. So 500 calories or so, high protein. So you're hitting your protein numbers, which is one of the 2 numbers we really care about. Then you get to basically kick back at the end of the day and have what you like for dinner. And it just becomes a more enjoyable, sustainable, less energy required way of going about creating a calorie deficit. With the 6 meals a day, you know, and we're doing 8 meals a day and all this crazy stuff people are doing nowadays. It's you constantly have to be thinking about how many calories do I have left? How many calories is that? You know, where am I? It's exhausting. And, you know, it does not allow, by the time you get to dinner, the end of the day, you have just a handful of calories left. And so if your 11-year-old daughter runs in and says, hey, Dad, can we go get pasta? Or can we make pasta tonight? No, I can't do that. I used to turn down all these like opportunities to go out and eat with friends and family because I couldn't do it, you know, and it's just like, that's not living to me. And, you know, some people love, and that's, you know, talking about the comments and stuff like that in social media, you know, hey, if what you're doing is working for you and you love eating 6 times a day and you're rolling with it and you're in the best shape of your life, keep doing it. You don't have to intermittent fast. At the end of the day, it is about calories in versus calories out. That's largely what governs fat loss by far the most. If what you're doing is working, great. But for most people, it's not working. And so if it's not working for you, it's time to try something new. And there's tons and tons and tons of research on it. Tons of super intelligent people out of Harvard and Johns Hopkins talking about intermittent fasting, all of Oxford, all over the world. Some of the greatest institutions of learning are talking about intermittent fasting and its benefits. So if what you're doing isn't working, this is what we recommend.
So, you know, the research is there. And for anybody listening, if you're on YouTube, particularly, check the comments and we'll link some research for intermittent fasting, just for anybody who's interested. You know, quick comment. So supermarkets, basically, they saved us from starvation, but they might not have saved us from obesity is your thought process.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is too, because these days I'll fast a lot of times dinner to dinner. It's not some heroic feat. Your body adapts, your stomach organ actually shrinks. Your body adapts to running off fat, off ketones. Your body actually produces ketones with longer fasts, say 16, 18 hours. Your body starts producing ketones, which people know from the ketogenic diet, which is an energy substrate, which helps the brain focus remarkably well. It is 4:13. I got a big workout in earlier. I have not eaten today. I might have some mezcal here in a minute. You know, it just opens up your world. But it's not a heroic thing. I'm not fasting right now because I'm like, oh, if I fast another hour, I can burn some more calories. I'm just not hungry right now. I'm good. Like I could keep going. your body adapts to any type of fuel source that you give it over time. And so with most people that are eating around the clock, they're glycogen dependent. Their body says, okay, we got this incoming glycogen from food. That's what most food breaks down to. I'm going to use that first. That's priority fuel source. And then all the fat stores that we have, because we all have fat stores, kind of gets pushed to the wayside. So it's no wonder that we're not tapping into that and burning through that instead of glycogen. It's if that's coming in constantly, your body's got that all to run off of, and that's what it's going to use. So by adapting to intermittent fasting, your body has the opportunity to start burning through fat as fuel more quickly than it would otherwise. And a lot of people don't. It's kind of common sense to me. It's like if you got food sources that you're stacking more food on and more food on and more food on, you're
going to gain weight.
Yeah, and you got to burn through that in order to get to the current fat you already have on your body. So that is how fat loss happens, creating a calorie deficit and forcing, so you burn through the food. That means you're burning more calories than you're consuming, right? So once you burn through the calories you consume, then you start to tap into fat. That's how it works. And I don't know, people get really, really passionate about nutrition. And again, if what you're doing is working, keep doing it. But for most of us, the obesity rates in the world and the US are skyrocketing and continuing on an upward trend. The idea that you need food around the clock, especially some of these breakfast choices that a lot of people are getting, pastries and, high sugar coffees and stuff like that for breakfast is just like
dessert. It's glorified dessert.
How fast can you destroy your day, energy wise and every other way? But yeah, the energy is remarkably steady. And it's a thing, man. Like it takes an open mind to create a new path, and so I hope for those watching, listening, if what you've been doing is not working, you'll be open-minded to this.
And I would hope so too. And I'll tell you, in last couple of points on IF, or we'll be here forever. I know we can talk about it forever, and we will as this series goes on, guys. Last couple of points. And when I was eating 8 meals a day, was I in better shape? Debatable, right? Maybe. Honestly, it's hard to tell at this point. I think I'm getting stronger now than I was when I was 20, and that says something. But am I happier now? 100%, 10,000%. My whole day revolved around food. I would wake up and it was oatmeal and a protein shake. And then my next meal was, chicken and broccoli and brown rice and a sweet potato. And then my next meal was a protein shake. And my next meal was chicken. It was miserable, right? And all day, every day, it was how do I cook and how do I fit it all in? Dude, now seriously, I get to lunch, I drink some black coffee, I eat noon to 3, right? My first meal is a salad generally every day, just so I have more calories later. Like today, for example, I had a cheeseburger, dinner is steak and potatoes, and I had a salad. And I'm going to hit 140 grams of protein, probably, in about 2,000 calories. Golden. I might have a Halo Top for dinner because my calorie, I'm putting them a little higher right now. I'm a big dude right now, so I'm dropping slow. But
yeah, that's good.
I'd rather do that 100 million times over.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But we'll keep talking about it, keep educating on it for sure.
We'll talk about it forever as these episodes go on, I'm sure, because there's so much we could say. So, but moving on to the next topic, which is the third pinnacle, right? The third, what's the word I'm looking for? Edge of the pyramid, however you want to call it, of getting healthier, strength training. This is so intimidating for so many people, and particularly our audience, because I think our primary audience is women in like that 30 to 55 age range, and men too. It's just a forgotten group of people, right? Nobody's pitching to them because we're not using words like get shredded or get ripped or, right, get sexy. Like we don't, that's not our terminology. That's not our goal. Our goal is health, right? And so for people in that age bracket, let's talk about strength training. And particularly, I want to throw this one at you. I'm a dude. I've been strength training for the last 5 years. I go to the gym, I lift weights for an hour. I lift the same weights every time I go for the last 5 years. I haven't changed anything, but nothing's changing. I'm still kind of flabby. I'm not losing weight. What's going on? What's the deal? Why am I not?
So strength training becomes more important as we age. And so to our demo and most of the people that are with us and watching, it's because they have not figured fat loss out yet. And this is typically square one we talk about water. Of course, nutrition is important, but as far as what you're just not, because everybody's trying on nutrition, everybody's trying to be mindful on nutrition. People understand that they need to drink more water, but I don't think people really realize, and remind me to, if I don't pin it, doctors, I don't think people really realize how important strength training is not only for fat loss, but just for lifetime enjoyability, like mobility and bone density and injury prevention and everything that goes along with it. I mean, it will. So I remembered, doctors will eventually prescribe strength training as medicine. Mark my words. Some of them are starting to get to it now, but the body was designed to move, right? And so you've got to start strength training. And most people are not. And if they are, most people in the gyms are just getting there guessing. Like, it is so important to get an education in proper strength training. And it's not that difficult, right? There's, say, 12, 15 major movements you need to understand and learn. That's what we cover on the site, and with proper form, that will set you free, right? That will help you put on muscle in the right places, that will help open up your mobility. If you blow out your shoulder, right, your entire upper body is damaged for the rest of your life, which most people do through silly things like reaching in the backseat in a car to pick something up and they tear the rotator cuff. Or if you tear your ACLs in your knees, or your hip, or whatever it is, low back stuff, which these are all the key major, the shoulders, the knees, and the low back. Those are the big things. And what people don't understand is that strength training prevents that. Strength training, I think, has a bad connotation of I don't want to get big and bulky. It's like, that's not it. That's not it. It's about putting on enough muscle, one, to raise your metabolic rate when it comes to fat loss. That's the only way to raise your body's resting metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories your body burns in a resting state. The only way to do that is by adding muscle tissue over time. Period. End of story. You can temporarily elevate through cardio, temporarily elevate through workouts. The only way to permanently raise it is by adding muscle over time. And so when people are hitting stalls with strength training, most people are just not. There's a bunch of little variables that we throw in with our pros: static holds, 1.5 reps, slow negatives, tempo training, all these little variables that even when you do understand proper form, which again, most people do not, this will take you to the next level. And it's taken me, 23 years to learn all of this and apply it in the right way, in the right format, to maximize the time spent. That's why our workouts are typically about 30 minutes max. It's really all you need if you're applying these principles in the right way. And so there's always ways to move the needle. Most people either are not working out, or the ones that are plateauing, and there are ways to move that with adjustments on proper strength.
And guys, for those of you listening and watching, what you need to understand about strength training and getting big, because people, they have that, I don't want to be a bodybuilder syndrome. Guys, bodybuilders spend years, decades in some cases, honing their nutrition, training hours and hours every day in the gym to put that muscle on. You're not going to do it by strength training. And John will correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's just not going to happen.
No, it's way easier to drop fat than it is to put on muscle. So we're going to train like you're trying to put on a ton of muscle, but 99% of the people with us are going to be in a calorie deficit. So that makes it much harder to put on muscle. One, and two, you're not going to get bulky because we're going to train with proper range of motion. So we want long muscles, not short muscles. So those two factors alone will prevent any worries that you have about ever getting bulky. And I mean, there's others, but those are the two main ones. It's not going to happen.
And segue on that, we've got a little bit of time left here. So segue on that. In our workouts for Minimal Health, or at Minimal Health for our pros, they're 30 minutes, right? So is 30 minutes enough time? Because we advocate strength training twice a week, 30 minutes. Is that enough?
Yes. So that's part of the framework. What Minimal Health is a framework to fit to you, not you to it. It's like a jacket that you put on, and it's got everything you need to get you where you want to go. And 2 strength workouts a week are mandatory. So that's where we start. Can you add a third if you want? Could you add a fourth if you want? Yeah. I don't know that you're going to need it, but 2 is mandatory. That means I don't care if you're 18 years old or 80 years old, you must be strength training twice a week, 20 to 30 minutes. And what strength training's meant to do is kind of tip the first domino of fat loss. And how that process happens is strength training. The purpose of it is to create muscle tissue breakdown. Okay. And oftentimes that's what you feel soreness from. You're literally creating micro tears in your muscle fibers. That's where soreness comes from. When that happens, your body kickstarts something called muscle protein synthesis, which allows for your body to take the food, our nutrition, and essentially, lack of a better phrase, build that into new muscle. right? So strength training is just meant to kickstart that process. You don't need to destroy your body every time you're strength training, nor do you need to hit it every single day. It's kickstart that process. It can take your body 48 hours, 72 hours to fully repair, sometimes longer, sometimes less. But on average, you want, 2 days or so to repair. And in that time frame, that's when all that's going on behind the scenes. So your cellular level, your body sucks up a bunch of water, which is why you might see the scale go up a little bit once you start strength training a little bit, and that's okay. But that's what that's doing, is kickstarting that process. So you don't need marathon workouts. That's why we talk about 20 or 30-minute workouts. You don't need the long workouts in order to get that benefit, especially if you're applying the techniques that I was speaking about earlier, and especially if you're applying the right tempos and the right framework for your workouts, which is everything that we will take care of for you. There's no guesswork. When Trey and I were building this, I said, for so long, and I have very cool network of clients here in Los Angeles, and they keep me around for two reasons. One, tell me what to do, right? And the other is just make sure I do it, hold me accountable. So that's what we built for the site, is exactly what to do on nutrition and training. And we're going to text you, we're going to hold you accountable, we're going to jump on the phone, all that stuff. So, but to get back to that first question, no, the marathon workouts are absolutely not necessary. And in fact, again, push a lot of people away from it and make it just this unachievable, unsustainable mechanism that it doesn't need to be.
Unsustainable, and that's a whole topic we're going to tackle here in a future episode. John, that's all the time I got for you today, bud. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, if you're listening to this right now and you need to get a jump start, keep in mind, again, quick recap, these are the pillars, right? You need to focus on your walking. You need to get your nutrition under control in some capacity, and you need to get strength training into your life as quickly as possible, or sarcopenia is just, it's going to take you out. And that's just not a place to be. And the farther you get, the harder it is. And bonus fourth pillar is going to be accountability. You need something in your life to hold you accountable to this plan. So John, thank you so much, man. Guys, if you do want to work out directly with John, head to our site, www.minimalhealth.com, either MNML, or you can spell out minimalhealth.com. Sign up for Light. We have a fat loss school, or sign up for Pro. You can work out directly with John. We'll give you a cell phone number and bug him all you want, please. I know he loves it. So thanks, John. I really appreciate you, bud.
Cool. Thanks, Trey. See you guys soon.